Spouses who married the cool girl boy from your high school, what are they like now? Story 1. My sister married the prom king starting running back from her high school. He got fat, but also is a nice dude who makes a killing running some kind of raw materials company, doesn't talk about the past at all. Story 2. My brother married the popular girl. She was homecoming queen, prom queen, on varsity teams, in band, an honor roll student, beautiful, and super nice, 17-ish years and 2 kids later. She is still a sweetheart, beautiful and athletic. Story 3. My mum was the nerdy girl who got all the A's and had zero social skills, and somehow managed to start dating my dad, who was the popular good-looking guy who everyone thought would peak in high school. She was actually advised by her family and friends that he wouldn't give her the future she was hoping for. They got married at 19, had me when they were 20, and while they were pretty broke the first few years of my life, he paid for my mum to attend law school, started his own business, and 25 years later with 3 kids, they're still so in love and have a pretty cushy life. My dad actually met one of the loud voices who told my mum she was making a big mistake marrying him, and she had said how she always knew he would turn out well, which he found hilarious. Story 4. My dad was crazy popular, prom king, salutatorian, running back, serious ladies man. He met my mom in a nursing class in college which he took to meet girls lecture course, and he was the only guy in a sea of women. This was the 70s. They married, he became a car salesman, developed a terrible drug habit and died of a heart attack at 52. Edit. The car salesman thing was in the 80s, so it was like American Psycho without all of the murder but with all of the cocaine. All of it. I'm surprised there is any left. Edit 2. Thank you all for the kind words and interesting replies. Also, my first awards on Reddit would be from a random insomniac post. I was only around for the back half, but I can tell you my father was magnetic. Even in his later crispy drug-addled years he was still drawing people into his orbit with his awesome personality. Just flew too close to the sun. And then after years of therapy I could post about it at 3 a.m. on Reddit. Story 5. My high school friend was the cool guy. Everyone liked him, guys and girls. He never got into fights, was always instantly invited everywhere, and girls totally swooned over him. He's still the same awesome dude, hasn't changed a bit. He married an incredibly hot nurse. Story 6. I'm an introvert and he's an extrovert. I never knew what to say to him in high school because he was so cool and funny. He intimidated me. Now our differences complement each other, I think, and we're very happy. Story 7. My dad was super popular. Prom king, valedictorian, class president, football captain, etc. He has a high ranking but normal role, a smallish to medium-sized company. Pretty normal guy and a good dad. If brought up he will mention his high school years but he doesn't brag. Story 8. My wife was the hot girl that everyone gossiped about. She's still super hot but is such a wonderful, supportive, loving person. It makes me sad no one took the time to get to really know her when she was young. Story 9. Found out recently 30M that my dad was extremely popular in high school for my aunt. I had no idea he was an all-star football player with lots of college offers and was prom and homecoming king. Never talks about it, but he's doing well. 2 kids, a dog and a loving wife. He's still winning. Story 10. Didn't marry her but we dated for a bit. She moved to Arizona for college. Stayed there, then became a firefighter. Came out as gay and married a woman. We lost touch but she seems happy. Edit. Great. My most upvoted comment on Reddit is how I couldn't please a woman. Story 11. Mom was the cool girl. Still is. Still literally gets stopped by strangers talking about how cool pretty whatever she looks sex. But divorced husband cheated and widowed second husband died. So never really managed to get a happily ever after in romance. I've only seen her as a grown-up of course, but going by pictures what I remember as a kid, she hasn't changed all that much. I think sometimes she's too used to people being in her orbit and will get sad if something happens where she's not involved. Not overtly so, but you can see she's expecting everyone to always want her there. Story 12. I had 2 kids with a former prom king. He's a crackhead now. Edit. This comment blew up overnight. Thanks so much everyone. It's comforting to know so many people can relate. Take care. Story 13. My best friend was prom king 14 years ago. Now he owns a successful small business. Never had a girlfriend, never had a boyfriend, not sure about his sexuality but he's a kick-ass dude. Proud he calls me a friend as I'm an awkward introvert. Edit. Thanks for the award you camel. I've only met one camel in my life and we didn't hit it off. Reading these answers about prom kings, head cheerleaders, quarterbacks etc. just has me as a Canadian going wow. American high school really is like on TV. The high school experience just really isn't the same here, at least not in my experience. I don't even think our ideas of popular were really the same, mainly due to how much less important sports are here. I think without football reigning supreme it allows for way more variation for what makes someone popular. Story 14. In the opposite of this question, I totally peaked in high school, was cheerleading captain, valedictorian, prom queen, super involved and outgoing. Now I'm fat and very unnoticeable, not pretty and maybe not ugly, just bland, and incredibly shy and reserved, don't really have many friends. But married my high school sweetheart, who was quiet and mostly flew under the radar, and now he is outgoing, successful, and more handsome by the year. Story 15. My mom was the elite Atlanta debutante and lived a very cushy life at a budding Miami country club, beautiful and very popular at the private school. My dad grew up on a farm in Virginia. They weren't poor but they were definitely not refined. Eventually my father's family made it down to Miami after selling the farm. He became the lifeguard at the country club pool where my mom spent days lounging about. My parents say they saw each other and that was it. The scandal was great. The debutante and the lowly lifeguard, they just celebrated 54 years of marriage. My lowly lifeguard father made quite the life for my mom regardless of what all those elite twats said was going to happen. She gladly left the country club life for him and they are still so utterly in love it's crazy. He carries a photo of her at the pool where they met. The only references she makes to being that girl are that they proved everyone wrong. They are beautiful and I love their story. Story 16. I married the cool girl, super athletic, everyone was her friend. We started dating in high school. She's kept up everything people loved about her. Nowadays she isn't as interested in other people, and focuses on herself, her career, us and our future. We're planning to buy a house and have kids soon. I'm the breadwinner today, but I'm not so sure if that'll be true in a few years lol. Story 17. As it turned out, I married one of the mean girls, didn't go to her school, didn't find out she was considered that till after the divorce. That's how it turned out. Then I dated one of the cool chicks, did go to her school, did know she was considered that, and she was the most amazing human being I've ever known. That one didn't work out either. Now I'm just retired from relationships for a bit. Strike 3 would kill me right now, thanks all. This was very therapeutic. I have friends and family that are awesome. Hopefully you'll have more someday. For now it's me and my kids I'm focusing on. Story 18. I didn't marry one, but my husband is friends with a few guys that peaked in high school, and they feel the need to relive that. Still talking about the championship that got away 20 years ago. Story 19. She's still the nicest and gorgeous girl I ever met. Nothing changed. She is studying to be a pharmacist. That's something no one would guess. Since she always loved history and her school didn't have biology or chemistry at it, we weren't from the same school, but she was one of the most popular girl from the school, neighborhood and university class. I met her on a graduation we both gave up. Story 20. My brother was the cool kid in his grade, which extra annoyed me because I was a year older and a lot of my friends asked about him. He felt a lot of pressure to stay the coolest kid, so he made a lot of shitty choices because doing blow is what the cool kids are doing. I guess. He went to rehab by the time he was 16. He pretty much threw his life away after that and has been in and out of jail and prison since then 16 years later. Edit 3 people have now commented about me marrying my brother. I did not marry him. He is not my spouse. Be more original. Story 21. I married the cool, outgoing, outdoorsy, sporty high school jock. Turns out he's secretly as geeky and introverted as I am. He's still the same person 25 years later. Story 22. My mom was the cool girl all through high school, undergrad, grad school, but life didn't go that well. For most of her life, she had to be caring for someone in the family who was ill, and that took a huge toll on her. First it was her dad, then it was me. I had childhood illnesses, then her in-laws in quick succession, then her dad again, and finally she had to nurse my dad until he passed away from a terminal illness. She was meant to be social and have fun, and instead she was forced to be around sickness and sadness for her best years. But she's a very happy and mentally strong person in general who made the best of things. She hosted a lot of people and events. My house growing up was full of people visiting and having fun. She's very charming and easy to talk to, and has a lot of fans all the time though, my siblings, and I find her social side rather annoying. She isn't like that with us, and she tells us her charming side is just an act, and the real her is the lady who is constantly critical of us for our own good. She likes having groupies hanging around, people who are happy to take her help and be grateful to her. She has very few friends who could be considered her equals. She also expects a lot from other people and is constantly disappointed. She wants to be the center of everything. She doesn't know to be a guest at anything. She somehow ends up running every event she's invited to. She sincerely believes she's helping, but it's just disrespectful sometimes, and when we tell her that, she doesn't get it. She likes to dominate everything and make decisions for everyone. We joke that if the Prime Minister was her friend, she'd somehow end up running the country for him. Story 23. I hate to be the one that bursts everyone's bubble, but my husband was the good-looking athletic guy with a great sense of humor that all of the girls adored. I was the petite blue-eyed blonde cheerleader that he chased for all 4 years in high school. We ended up getting together after high school graduation and were engaged 6 months later. I should have kept running from him like I did in school. He's now an addict who is verbally and emotionally abusive. He's a compulsive liar and he's stolen prescription medication from me to get high. He's very jealous and has accused me of having an affair with every male I've ever worked with, all without any merit whatsoever. It got so bad at one point that he told me I needed to quit my job and stay home with my son, then he criticized me for not having a job. I teach high school English, and he is jealous of my male students because he claims he sees the way they watch me and look at me. He's made my life. He criticizes and ridicules me for being a diabetic, saying he never intended to marry a cripple, which is hardly the case. I'm happy to say that we're getting served with divorce papers very soon. God help the woman who takes my place because he can't do anything for himself. He's never paid a bill, made his own doctor appointments, etc. He's exhausting. He's also that guy who likes to tell our son what a stud he was in school and how he eventually got the girl he wanted. While dating, he portrayed himself to be the man he thought I would see as husband material. However, I quickly saw it was all an act. Shortly after we married, if I had it to do over, I would have left the country to avoid him. The only good thing to come out of our marriage is my son. I'm sorry that my story was the nightmare in the bunch. I'm just keeping it real. My brother was one of the hottest guys in high school and went on to be a model. He's still cool and hot to many, but now he's a bit fat. He's my brother, so you on the hot part in my opinion, but women still swoon and he's so obnoxious. Think Matt Dillon etc. era. He got dumped by his model 17 years younger wife for a 26-year-old. He has impossible standards and it's making him miserable. He's into these flashy shallow women. Overall he's doing really well and his business is thriving. Story 24. I sat next to the popular guy every day pretty much for 5 years and I was so afraid of speaking to him. I watched him and his friends picking each other up and shoving the chosen one into lockers, or chasing each other round into a pylon and throwing their shoes at each other. Typical school. They were rowdy and loud and intimidating. But he was the quiet yet seriously funny one and I crushed on him hard for years. He remembers me as the little blonde girl who didn't speak to anyone because I was so anxious all the time. He also protected his sister from some every break time and shed come to find him for safety from bullies. Should have spoken to him sooner when school finished. Because we have the same music taste and we get on well enough now at 26 that we have a 6-month-old daughter together. My daughter from a previous relationship and we just got engaged last weekend. I adore him, he's handsome, charming and funny, and I would do anything for this man as he would for me. Story 25. He was the one who had the six-pack who all the girls swooned over, very popular. I was not, saw him after just leaving HS and started going out, ended up getting married in our early 20s. God knows why. I guess we thought it was just what happened next. He never grew up, all he wanted to do was play online games, but I mean constantly. He would get in from work, walk straight past me to the spare room, straight online and play until the early hours, get a bit of sleep, go back to work, same thing, again and again, never wanted to go anywhere, just wanted to game. Eventually, I gave him an ultimatum, he chose the game. From what I gather, he's remarried to someone else we went to school with and has 2 kids now. I was told she had to give him an awful lot of ultimatums before he eventually grew up. Story 26. I married one of our high school sweethearts. We started dating there in the late 70s. A girl everyone loved, long straight hair down to her rear end, smiled all the time, always in the beauty contestant shows and always generous and friendly. Fast forward to now and she is still good looking and does not look her age of 60. Great mother and grandmother, and still as good a person now as she was when I met her in 77. Story 27. Not me, but my mom married my dad who was hot. They met in college when he was an absolute hellion. But since then he became a doctor, still a really fun dude. He's also a licensed contractor, so when he was bored he built a 6,000 square foot barn in our backyard over 10 years completely on his own. Absolutely stand-up dude. Story 28. Not sure if he was necessarily cool, but my dad was prefect and head boy of his school, got along nicely with everyone and was responsible. They didn't have prom there, so that was the highest honor you could probably get, worked hard and all and had his classmates help to tutor him. His grades didn't end up great because he came in late to school once and got after-school detentions. He would go home late and finish homework overnight, then get up at the crack of dawn to wash his father's bus and be late to school again. More detentions. He dropped out and transferred to another school. Now he's a retired policeman who is working in security to send me and my siblings to school. Does his best still. In my mom's view he's still handsome and she calls him a multitude of cutesy nicknames that he pretends to hate. Life is always as tough as normal but he keeps going. Story 29. Not even any of the cool kid spouses are on Reddit. Instagram. Dated a popular class clown out of high school, got pregnant. He is and was a pretty big deadbeat. Ended up marrying a nerd a few grades above me. Years later we have 2 more kids and he is an amazing dad to all 3 of the kids. He is also a goddamn snack and a half. Been together for a decade. Story 30. My sister first child was homecoming queen, prom queen, and head cheerleader. She's been a fundamentalist Christian since then and hasn't talked to me since 2006 because I was finally honest and came out. In the youngest and the only boy, I idolized her and Jesus got in the way. Edit for context. I came out at 44 years old, 15 years this month. I am now 59 and she's 64. I have presented an olive branch to her countless times, mostly for my mother's sake, and my sister, the middle child, died recently and I asked that we drop all of this for mom's and my sister's sake. Nothing. Man, I just had a wave of sadness and loneliness hit me. Edit 2. You are all beautiful people. You have touched my heart. XOXOXO. Story 31. Husband and I went to different schools in different areas of the state. I guess he was kind of the cool bad boy of his school. While I did not know him during that time, I can tell you that we have been together for 24 years and he is the most wonderful husband and father. I think he was grossly misunderstood back then and would love to tell those teachers who basically said he would be nothing off. Story 32. I always think about this guy in my HS. He was super popular and the best friend of the worst bully I ever had. I won't say his name, but he went on to be a pro football player and I always idolized him because of his actions on one single day. He pulled me aside and told me that he noticed I almost never ate lunch. He gave me 20 and told me to make sure I ate well and that he was sorry he was so mean to me. For anyone who has ever hesitated on apologizing, I will never forget that person and I will never think he didn't deserve his popularity. I was picked on, but bitter. Story 33. Fell in love after we met couple of years after graduation. She used to be the cool girl and I was the quiet introvert. Found out apart from being cool, she was also a very loving person. Married her, she gave meaning and purpose to my life. I can get through life only with her beside me. She is still as cool and as hot-headed as she was. Quick to battle anyone and everyone, if she thinks they are wrong to my dismay. Story 34. As an Asian, Seeing all the prom queens and football captain and homecoming kings makes me wonder how different my high school experience was from theirs. Here, the most popular students are the ones who study the most and score the most. It's funny to see how in America, you are scorned and bullied for doing what school is made for, studying. Story 35 I married the homecoming queen, head cheerleader, and star basketball player. Yes, just one person at 50, she's still stunning with an amazing drive. We're partners in real estate sales, and she's the engine that keeps our team successful. I just keep trying to knot it up. Story 36 We didn't go to school together, but I married the captain of the cheerleading team. She's a very down-to-earth, good human being who never been one to be elitist or a snob in any way. She does wish she still had her high school body, who doesn't, but she looks more beautiful to me now than she does in any old pictures. We have a large family and are very happy. Every once in a while I'll be acting goofy with my kids and their friends will give me the side eye and I'll casually drop, "You think I'm a nerd, huh?" Well, maybe so, but I married the captain of the cheerleaders. For some reason this gets me instant credibility with young men. Story 37 Wifey was cheerleader back in HS, homecoming court, etc. She's 46 now. We've been married for 25 years and have 4 kids, a daughter-in-law, and she's still super freaking hot. Story 38 My wife was super popular. She had a side gig as a model, so had to stop being a cheerleader. She is still friends with most of her old friends. She is the sweetest person in the world. She was then and still is. Story 39 He dated my sister for a while. He was really cool and charming at face value. He tried to rape my sister. He ended up doing a whole lot of drugs. Bludgeoned his stepmother to death with a Duraflame log. You Danny, I was the prom king. I was a starting athlete in many team sports. I was also ironically barely connected socially to my class and spent a lot of time gaming and eating. I am divorced, fat and play competitive MTG. My ex probably doesn't give about me being the prom king. Story 40 Not married but been with the class clown of a different high school for 7 years. I moved towns to live with him and people still stop him in public. They can't believe he has a girlfriend, 2 kids and another on the way. They all retell a story about something happening in school and how funny outrageous it was. He's actually had an autism diagnosis as an adult, which explains a lot of his weird behavior. Story 41 Wife was the prom queen, state champion athlete, and generally loved by everyone she knew, dated her popularity equivalent and struggled through its toxicity. With the help of a bunch of champagne and a shirt with a cat on it, I swooped in. Now every day I get to hear about how I'm punching above my weight class or out kicking the coverage or whatever metaphor by coworkers. But she's just the absolute best person ever, complete smoke show inside and out. Her best friend went to the rival school and was the same type of person. 10 years later, they are still just the best humans. Kinda cool to see, as the popular kids from my grade were pretty shitty. Story 42 Main takeaways The cool kids meet the same fate as everyone else. Some of them stay awesome, some fall into despair, some end up on the extremes and most somewhere in the middle. Turns out we're all just people. Story 43 Okay, hey race 1, I worked with this dude at a grocery store in high school, and had classes with him at a private Catholic high school. He was weird, but fairly popular back then. We hung out very occasionally, but he was always a little off. And anytime I talked with him post-high school, he really creeped me out. And then there was this. Never ever thought he would be capable of something like this. But at the same time, any interaction I had with him post-high school was just so bizarre. Story 44 I have 2 school friends who both vowed if they were both single at 40 they would marry. They did. He was never married and is morbidly obese and wasn't finding anyone to date. And she was divorced with 4 kids. He became a stepfather and earns a good income and supports her as she was really struggling. He helped straighten the kids out and they have maintained the marriage and vow they kept. They love each other but are not attracted to each other and have separate bedrooms. But the arrangement is working out well in a financial and family way, and both enjoy being full-time working grandparents now and making a tidy income and living a comfortable life. Story 45 My husband was the coolest of his high school, different HS from mine. I met him a few years later, hanging with the same friends but now providing for them also. They kept talking about HS years and it was oh so freaking boring. It was very difficult and painful to wean him from them, but here we are 26 years later. People adore him because they see him as larger than life. But always kind, he gives of his time to so many. He's still the coolest wherever he goes. Story 46 I married the popular guy. We didn't go to the same schools or even in the same city but met when we were 30. Extremely charismatic and likable, also used to having everything handed to him and done for him. He constantly spoke about how prior to me, he always was with hot girls and that he basically settled for me. I know him pretty, but I'm also overweight. He didn't seem to realize that while he was in shape in high school from playing sports, he ballooned up as an adult. We divorced earlier this year. He's already living with potential wife number 3 and me and his first wife have bonded over how terrible he treats his spouses. Yep, he's 35 and working on wife number 3, but he doesn't think he has behavior that needs to change because he spent his whole life hearing he was the best. Story 47 I was the cool girl in high school, marrying the cool guy from a neighboring high school, homecoming queen and cheer captain marrying Mr. Popular prom king. We're incredibly boring now, no college degrees, I work 2 jobs, he cleans for the school district, but we're happy with it. We have an easy routine, pay the bills, raise 2 beautiful kids together. Life is good for the most part. Story 48. This question was custom made for me. The most popular guy at the time we were high schoolers same age was the most eligible bachelor. Every, including my best friend girl was head over heels for him or at least had a crush. He was handsome, funny, kind to everyone, not afraid to talk to girls, a dancer, and extremely charismatic. I finally got to marry him when we were both almost 26. He's still everything he was in high school and more. What a freaking catch. I pinch myself every day. Story 49. I notice a lot of they need to move on and leave that stuff in the past posts about spouses, be it football or whatever. Maybe that's when they felt most accepted, loved, and had the most people that cared about them, and now in the future they don't have that and keep thinking about the past as something they wish could have continued. Maybe it's not always them that has the issue with that, but rather those complaining about it. I married my best friend and we had practically everything in common. As time went on she became completely different. Everything we had in common is no longer an interest to her and am looked at as childish because I've continued to be myself and like what I like. I've watched her grow up and move on with life and lose everything that made her the person I knew back then, and am the one that's told I need to change. I'm the one trying to hold on to the past because that's when life was a joy. Don't always be so quick to dismiss those that reminisce because they could be lacking important closeness with people that you may not be providing. Story 50. My very own father was football quarterback and baseball captain. Had an offer to come to summer training camp with the Chicago White Sox. Ended up in the Navy for 4 years, then got my mom pregnant. They divorced after 2 years of marriage and he took his life 10 years later at the age of 39. Could never get over high school. And I mean that as honestly as I can, he is missed. Story 51. I don't know if he was the cool guy, but he was definitely in the cool group. I sure wasn't. I was a band kid anyway. He's a pilot in the military and still infinitely cooler than me. He's a good guy and I love the out of him. Story 52. We're divorced now, but my ex-wife was a popular cheerleader in high school. I didn't even know much about her younger years when we were dating. I remember cracking up when she busted out a yearbook to show me. She said she loved high school and had a great time, had lots of friends and ran with the popular kids. I was the total opposite. I hated those years of my life. I remember telling her that she probably would have disliked me if we had known each other as teenagers. I was a computer nerd that was into painting and graphic design. I was bullied a lot just for being socially awkward and super introverted. I was always carrying around and reading books instead of interacting with anyone. Anyway, the ex-wife isn't doing so well from what her current soon-to-be ex-husband told me. She had and still has a drinking problem when we divorced, but I got out relatively unscathed. She had a kid with this other guy a couple years ago and ended up getting a DUI, not her first. She lost her license and they ended up splitting up. Due to her alcoholism, he got an order of protection against her after several domestic disturbances where she got violent. He is still going through the court system, but he will likely get full custody of their kid because she has violated a couple orders of protection to come after him. She is on probation now too, which I think she has violated as well. Overall, her life sounds like a mess. I feel bad for the guy because he is essentially me if I had decided to stay with her. I feel bad for her too because I know a lot of her issues are due to her dysfunctional childhood. We tried therapy twice, but she was quite hostile and resistant to it. Story 53. My husband was in the popular crowd in our small high school. He was quiet, super hot, and had lots of friends. I had the hugest crush on him all throughout high school but was way too intimidated to talk to him in class. It wasn't until 3 or 4 years after graduation when I first started talking to him at the local grocery store where we worked together. He was still way too cool then with his long dark hair and all. He had dropped out of community college and was just working at the store. Now, I'm not saying it was all me, but after we started dating, he did go back and get a degree and finally quit the grocery store life. He has a really nice lab job and enjoys it. We've been married for 6 years together, 13, and we have 2 kids. I think it's so funny now because I thought he was so cool in school, but the real guy is this down-to-earth LOTR nerd, which is totally awesome. Story 54. I started dating a popular athletic varsity volleyball and softball as a freshman girl in our senior year, when I was at the peak of my weird emo phase. People teased her so badly she broke up with me the first week, but quickly realized she didn't give about what others were saying and we got back together. We've been married nearly 6 years now, in our 30s. She's largely the same sarcastic, funny person I fell in love with, but more mature as you'd expect with age. Very great mother, the breadwinner and glue that holds us all together. We also have a dog now too. Story 55. I married the football-baseball start, voted best looking. His brother died while they were in high school shortly after he broke his collarbone and ruined any chances of college sports. He was good at masking his feelings for years. He's now in rehab for alcohol and about 100 pounds heavier. Story 56. Always fascinates me how being good at sport makes you popular in American TV shows. Never realized it was actually true. In the UK you might be unbelievably good at something but you'll still get called, your best mates will still tell you you're shite, just to keep you grounded all. Story 57. This post is very disappointing because everyone is basically saying yeah they're still really cool and accomplished. And if that's true, then what the compensation do I get for being a loser in high school? Story 58. I occasionally see the super popular dude from my high school. He was always nice, friendly with everyone even though he still primarily hung with the cool kids. He put on some weight, but is still super nice and a great guy. We had a conversation at a party recently. We're both in our 40s now and he put his arm around me and said, dude, life is good, but man, you don't know what it's like to have peaked in 8th grade. Story 59. I'm way late to the game, but I was the loser who married the prom queen. Dating was interesting because she came from a rich family that gave her everything she wanted. I grew up in a very poor family. We're talking 13 people in a one-bathroom house poor. She went to house parties and did all kinds of crazy. Meanwhile I was home hanging out with my nerd friend watching Star Trek. I thought she was kinda snobbish, but turns out she's the kindest person you ever met. Her heart bleeds a little too easily actually. We moved in together and she had no concept of money. Her family didn't like her moving in with a guy before married. They really liked me minus the whole poverty thing and cut her off financially. Sink or swim baby. My friends warned me she'd be gone by the time the rent was due and we couldn't afford it. Instead she got her first job at a department store while in college full-time and we cut back on everything. She still had a closet full of designer clothes and shoes, but didn't buy anything new for a long time. Stopped eating out every meal. She couldn't cook to save her life but I could, so we didn't go hungry. Overnight she became a normal college student. Common People is about her. She finished college, we put her through law school. She made crazy money right after she graduated. I didn't make quite as much but we were doing well for ourselves. Then the recession hit and we were back at square one. She stuck by me again through one of the worst times of my life. We had nothing. We had to move in with my still poor parents for 2 years to dig ourselves back out. We're not rich by any means but we're doing well now. She still has her prom queen streak. She likes to dress up and buy nice things. But she now goes to thrift stores and garage sales and refuses to pay full price for anything. She got very good at doing stuff and made us a beautiful home filled with she made herself, including furniture. I'm very happy. Friends warned me she would take off after college. When we went broke, she would cheat on me. She is way out of my league. Looks wise. That she's not the kind of girl to stick around long. Turns out she's in this for life. We came close to splitting up a few times but she always reeled us back in. I put her on a pedestal which probably isn't good but it works for us. People don't see it but she does the same to me. She gets overwhelmed easily but I'm pretty good at fixing when it goes bad. She still experiences things for the first time and it's really cool to see. For example, she saw an armadillo for the first time and she was crazy excited. She was never into nature. She stuck by me through some really dark times and I will never know why. I don't deserve her and she knows it. But I remember that every morning I wake up and try to do things that make me deserve her. Also I got to the gym, learned how to dress and do my hair because it sucks being the ugly skinny dude next to the hottest woman in the room. She still looks like she's out of my league, but at least it's not too bad now. She gets hit on a lot and I can tell it annoys her or sometimes makes her angry but I could care less. Our kids adore her and so do my parents. My mom thinks she's helpless because she remembers back when she was helpless but she's proud of her for how far she came. Now I'm tearing up thinking about it.